Hey guys, today I'm going to be going through the 3 most important things that I'm going to be implementing back into my everyday life to help me along with my health and wellness journey back to a stronger and happier me. So I already know what a lot of people are going to say is they're going to look at me and say, well, she's already fit, she already looks healthy. But what you don't know is what's going on inside of my body. As I mentioned in previous videos, I was diagnosed with celiac disease just over 3 years ago, and just over 3 years now I am still trying to heal from it. This is actually a very vulnerable post for me to do because I don't usually talk about myself and my own feelings and things that are going on in my life. But I was told by a friend the other day that sharing this kind of information and valuable information may actually help someone else who's going through the same thing as me. So that's why I'm going to be doing this. Hopefully sharing a video like this will help to give someone else out there the confidence and the want or need or the strength to be able to be honest with themselves or with other people about what it is that they're going through and just help you kickstart your wellness journey as well. So the first year after being diagnosed with celiac disease, I was on absolute cloud 9. I felt so much better than I have in pretty much my entire life, which makes a lot of sense. I started eating gluten-free, obviously, and things just were on the rise. I was starting to feel stronger, I could think, I had a lot of energy. Things were just better. And then, fast forward a year into it, I actually went to a restaurant and ate there, and they actually gave me the wrong bread with my order. So that bumped me back, another 2.5 years of healing. Because that actually skyrocketed my TTG levels, which is the antibody that I look for in the blood. It skyrocketed it back to greater than 300, which is very high for that level in anyone's blood tests. But you know what, in the same breath, it was my confirmation that I for sure had celiac disease and this wasn't a mistake. For me to have symptoms like that popped up afterwards. So for about 8 months after eating that loaf of bread, well, not loaf of bread, but the sandwich, sorry, I lost my voice there. So what I was saying, after eating that loaf of bread for 8 months afterwards, I had symptoms, all the symptoms of celiac disease pop right back in, but hit me hard because I had a year of healing, not eating it, kind of forgetting what the symptoms were, feeling so much better that once I put it back into my system, it just knocked me out. And it just, it wasn't great. So now going into the 2.5 years after eating that sandwich, I was then told to go for a blood test every 3 months to check the TTG level and my iron levels in my blood. Long story short, things weren't changing. They dropped down from the greater than 300, but they were sticking between 30 to 40, which is still very high for the next 2.5 years. And I could not for the life of me figure out why it was not dropping. So because I kept getting symptoms, I was losing motivation, I was losing my drive, and thought that things were actually going to get better, and basically has brought me to where I am now. So with losing that motivation and drive over that 2.5 years, I really started to think, well, maybe this is just my new life, this is just what I have to get used to. And then this started to spiral me down into this deep dark hole that I really hope no one ever gets into because it's awful, absolutely awful. So just to give you an idea of who I was before all of this, I was very driven. I was very active. I loved playing sports. I loved going to the gym, going for walks, always doing something. I was very excited about life. And not to say that I'm not excited about life now. I am, just not to the extent that I used to be. But, I would wake up in the morning and think about what it was that I was going to eat for breakfast and jump out of bed all excited to go and eat it. But I honestly haven't felt that in probably the last 2 years. Now, this is not to put a damper on anything. I wouldn't say I'm depressed. I wouldn't say anything like that. I do have bursts of anxiety come in here and there, but for some people that is a bit normal. All I'm saying is that I'm just not as active as I used to be, which is a big problem for me because that was a huge, huge part of my life. I literally went from going to the gym 5 times a week to 0 times a week I went to the gym. Now, me stopping going to the gym has actually brought on a lot of old sport injuries that I've had that are definitely literally kicking me in the butt right now. I've actually got my left shoulder that keeps going numb, along with neck pain on this side, and then my right hip keeps getting this sharp pain down it whenever I do any kind of physical activity. Like I started training for the half marathon that I've got later this year, and I had to stop for about 3 weeks because I was in so much pain. I literally aged about 50 years in, overnight. So if there's anything that this pandemic has actually brought on for me myself, it actually forced me to stop working and realize all of these things in myself. It wasn't until I stopped that my shoulder started aching and my hip started going. Mind you, I was sitting a lot more, but it made me realize that I have a lot of muscle imbalances that I need to work out. It also made me stop and realize that, the health of my gut is the most important thing, and the fact that I haven't been able to drop those levels in my blood for over 2 years, that's a big problem and it needs to be fixed. So these are just some things that I've started implementing to fix all of this. However, with all of that being said, with as hard as things have been in the past, they are improving. They're getting better. I have been able to actually drop my TTG levels just by a little bit, but I have actually dropped them, which is amazing. I was so excited to see this. And my iron levels are higher than they've ever been in my life. They're still quite low from where they should be, but they are better and they're improved. It's going to be challenging going through this wellness journey, but as challenging as it's going to be, I'm not going to let it drive me away from my new goal of trying to become a happier and stronger me. Now, your next question may be, how are you going to do this? And that is an excellent question, and I'm going to tell you that it's going to be through 3 main things: fitness, nutrition, and mindfulness. Now, my future fitness goals is to get myself back into the gym and going, at least 3 times a week, if not get myself back to that 5 times a week again. But more importantly, I need to correct all the muscle imbalances and biomechanical errors that I have going on in my body. Because as an athletic therapist, this is exactly what I do for my job. So I need to sit down and make myself a program to correct all of that. This program is going to include mobility, flexibility, and strength. Those are the 3 key components that anyone needs in any of their fitness programs to have a well-balanced musculoskeletal system. So I'll be working away on my program to get this done. Next thing I mentioned was nutrition. Now, this is actually something I have been actually kind of dabbing into in the last couple of months since the beginning of the pandemic. Where I was following a diet called the hypoallergenic diet. I'm not a big diet fan, not for long term anyway, and this one isn't meant to be long term, but I may have gone a little bit longer with it than I probably should have. But I do truly believe that this diet, along with some other things, has actually helped to decrease my TTG levels and increase my iron. This diet actually consisted of eliminating certain foods, which I'm actually going to read off here so I don't forget them. So the food list consists of processed foods, dairy, certain meats, eggs, soy, peanuts, corn, tomatoes, artificial butters and sweeteners, refined sugars, glutinous grains, which isn't obvious for me with celiac disease. Doing that anyway. But my naturopath actually suggested that I cut out all grains, even gluten-free ones, just for the first 3 weeks, which is as long as this program was supposed to go. because he just figured that we should just restart everything and just see where this takes me. Now, I actually did stay on this diet for the 3 weeks, but then I went past it because I was feeling so good on it that I didn't want to stop. But recently I have been starting to get some digestive issues again, and I think I have figured out why. This is why you should actually probably not do a restrictive diet like this for so long, like an elimination diet. It's just not what we're meant to do. We're not supposed to be this restrictive. And it's, to be honest, it's probably what has brought on some food anxiety for myself, because I keep thinking if I add any of these foods back in, I'm gonna be sick and I'm gonna be intolerant to them. So I've been avoiding them, but to be honest, I haven't been getting the correct caloric intake that I've been needing, especially with me becoming active again and starting to train for a half marathon. I just haven't been getting the correct food. And so please keep in mind, if you are going to do a restrictive diet like this, do not do it for too long, unless you have to. Like, I realize that there are serious food intolerances out there. There's allergies. There's autoimmune diseases like celiac disease where you have to restrict a certain type of food for the rest of your life due to health concerns. Now, the reason I bring this all up is there are actual research papers out there stating and showing that if you decrease your caloric intake or undereat, restrict foods to a certain extent, it can actually affect your immune system and your digestive system even more than it did before you started the restrictive diet to try and help yourself correct those things. When you restrictively eat for a certain amount of time, this actually decreases the amount of energy that your digestive system is getting. When your digestive system doesn't have the amount of energy that it needs, it will not function properly. If it's not functioning properly, it can come across as a food intolerance. So sometimes the symptoms that you're getting in your digestive system may seem like a food intolerance, but really it's because you're restricting too much food from your body. Now, I do know for myself that obviously I can't eat gluten. I have an autoimmune disease to gluten. But I do actually truly believe that I do have some food intolerances, and I think two of them in particular is oats and corn, because every time I eat those, I don't feel well. I don't feel good at all. But with that being said, I do wonder if when I get my antibody levels in my blood down to 0, if I will actually be able to put these types of foods back into my body, because I'll actually be able to digest them properly because my gut lining will be healed, which makes me so excited to even think of that fact, because it's been so long coming. I can't wait for that point, which is probably what's fueling me to do this even more. So as of right now, my nutrition goals is to not be as restrictive as I was on that diet. I am still going to be a little more paleo based. I might throw in a few grains here and there just to see how I react to them. But like I said, as of right now, oats and corn are definitely out of the picture. I do know for sure, though, the TTG levels are high because of certain processed foods that I've been eating and going out to eat at restaurants that may be causing cross-contamination issues. So again, my biggest thing is to stop eating processed foods unless they've got that certified celiac symbol on it. And then stopping to eat at restaurants that are not 100% gluten-free or cannot 100% guarantee that there will not be any cross-contamination of gluten. Okay, so next and final thing that always seems to be forgotten or not known is actually mindfulness. For those of you who don't know, I've actually been doing something called transcendental meditation. I was taught it quite a few years ago while I was going to university. I used to get extreme exam anxiety right before all of my tests, so my lovely brother actually introduced this technique to me, and I started doing it. I meditated 20 minutes twice a day with a mantra that I was taught, and I swear to you that is the reason I made it through my university and through my certification exams. Now, I've been really bad. And I've actually stopped doing this on a regular basis. And I actually did notice that my mind frame, it started to fail quite a bit. But in the last month, I have actually added it back into my routine, and feeling pretty darn good. With doing a regular meditation practice, my thoughts are clearer, my anxiety has gone away, I'm able to focus, I'm more motivated, I'm not snapping as much. But the other thing too is whenever a negative thought comes into my head, I've gotten really good at being able to switch it to a positive thought, and this has honestly made my days so much better. But the gut-brain connection it's a real thing. If one of them isn't happy, then the other is not going to be happy as well. All three of these components are essential for an overall balanced health and wellness plan. You really truly can't do one without the other. So all of my upcoming videos will be incorporating this wellness plan into it, and I hope I'll be able to give you some tips and tricks on what it is that I'm doing for myself, for you at home. But yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!